The city skyline stretched beyond my window, silver and gold beneath the fading light. I leaned back against the velvet armchair in my downtown loft, the silk of my blouse whispering against my skin. Most people who knew me thought I was just comfortable. A woman who worked a decent job, lived modestly, and kept to herself. Nobody ever guessed the truth, that behind closed doors, I was sitting on millions. My phone buzzed on the marble coffee table, its vibration loud in the stillness. I picked it up, and when I saw the name flash across the screen, my throat tightened. Melissa. My sister. It had been years since I heard her voice, not since the day she and the rest of them turned their backs on me. They believed I had nothing, that I was broke and useless, a burden too heavy to carry. What they didn't know was that the very next week, fate placed a winning lottery ticket in my hand. I let it ring twice before answering, steadying my breath. Hello. My voice came out calm, almost too calm. Her words tumbled quickly, shaky, urgent. Rachel. I didn't know who else to call. I need your help. I pressed my palm against my chest, feeling the steady beat of my heart. 1,000 memories flooded me. Their laughter when I begged for support, the doors that closed in my face, the loneliness that hardened into resolve. And now here she was. I remember that day as if it were carved into my skin. It was 3 years ago, in the cramped kitchen of our old family house in Ohio. The smell of burnt toast lingered in the air, and my sister Melissa sat at the table scrolling through her phone, barely looking up when I spoke. I just need a little time, I said, clutching the strap of my worn-out handbag like it was the only thing keeping me upright. Things are tight right now. I'll get back on my feet, I promise. Melissa's eyes finally flicked toward me, sharp and cold. Rachel, we can't keep carrying you. Mom's tired, I'm tired. Honestly, maybe if you actually tried harder, you wouldn't always be in this mess. Her words stung like slaps. I swallowed hard, the lump in my throat threatening to choke me. Melissa, Mom chimed in, her arms crossed, voice flat. We've given you enough chances. You're 28 years old. At some point, you have to learn to stand on your own. I looked from one face to another, searching for a shred of compassion. My hands trembled, but I tucked them into my jacket pockets to hide it. I'm not asking for forever. Just a little help, please. But the silence that followed was louder than any rejection. Melissa sighed, rolling her eyes. Rachel, we're done. We can't save you from yourself. I wanted to scream that I wasn't lazy, that I was trying, that the world had just been crueler to me than it was to them.
But my voice failed me.
I stood there, hot tears burning behind my eyes, refusing to fall. When I finally turned to leave, my grandmother's bracelet slid down my wrist. A simple silver band with tiny etched flowers. She had given it to me before she passed, whispering, "Real love is proven when you have nothing to give in return." That night, as I lay awake in my tiny apartment, staring at the cracked ceiling, those words replayed in my mind like a lifeline. If my own family couldn't love me when I was broke, then maybe they never loved me at all. I vowed to myself, right then and there, that I would never beg again. The universe has a strange sense of timing. Just 1 week after that humiliating moment in my mother's kitchen, my life changed forever. It was a rainy Thursday night. I'd stopped at a gas station on my way home, my shoes soaked from puddles, my spirit heavier than my handbag. On a whim, I bought a lottery ticket, something I almost never did. It felt ridiculous, but I clutched it like a secret prayer. 2 days later, sitting on the edge of my thrift store couch, I watched the numbers roll across the TV screen. One by one, they matched. My heart thudded so loud I could barely hear the announcer say it. Jackpot, $42 million. I sat in stunned silence, the ticket shaking in my hand. 42 million.
Me.
The girl who had been told she was worthless, a burden, a failure. But instead of running to flaunt my fortune, I did the opposite. I told no one. I collected my winnings quietly, set up a trust, and moved into a modest apartment in the city. No flashy cars, no designer bags plastered across Instagram. I wanted peace, not noise. I started learning. Nights spent poring over financial books, days spent meeting with advisors who, surprisingly, treated me like I belonged in those leather chairs. I invested small at first, then bigger. Real estate, a boutique marketing firm, even a tech startup run by a woman named Karen who would later become both my mentor and friend. Karen saw through my nerves. "You've got instincts," she told me one late night in her glass-walled office, her red lipstick smudged from too many cups of coffee. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Especially not the people who gave up on you." Her words lit a fire in me. The journey wasn't glamorous. There were nights I doubted myself, mornings I woke up wondering if I'd lose it all. But with each small win, I grew stronger. The first time my investment returned a profit, I cried quietly in my kitchen, clutching my grandmother's bracelet. The first time I signed a lease for a property under my name, I celebrated alone with takeout Chinese food, grinning at the fortune cookie that read, "Your perseverance will be rewarded." Meanwhile, on social media, I stayed quiet. A few pictures of coffee shops, sunsets, maybe a book on my nightstand. Nothing to reveal the empire I was building brick by brick. To my family, I was still the broke one who had drifted away. And honestly, I let them believe it. There was a strange power in their ignorance. Every time Melissa posted about her new car or her latest vacation, bragging about her hard work, I smiled softly. She had no idea her little sister owned 3 properties in downtown Columbus, or that I had just signed a deal worth more than her annual salary. Keeping it hidden became part of my strength. My silence was my armor, my wealth my secret revenge. By the time 3 years had passed, I had built more than just a fortune. I had built myself. When Melissa's call came, begging for help, I agreed to meet her. Not because I wanted revenge, at least that's what I told myself, but because I needed to see her face when she realized who I had become.
We arranged to meet at my place.
I didn't offer explanations, just an address. That Saturday afternoon, I stood in my penthouse kitchen, pouring sparkling water into crystal glasses. The late autumn sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, glinting off framed art and polished marble. My home wasn't gaudy, no gold-plated furniture or screaming logos. Instead, it was elegant, curated, with soft leather, warm woods, and art I had fallen in love with during gallery trips.
It reflected me.
Quiet, steady, but unshakably strong. The elevator chimed, and then I heard hesitant footsteps. "Rachel." Melissa's voice carried down the hall, uncertain. I stepped out, smoothing the front of my tailored dress. "In here." When she entered, her eyes widened. She tried to hide it, but I caught the flicker of disbelief as she took in the space, the sweeping skyline view, the subtle glow of recessed lighting, the grand piano in the corner. She blinked rapidly, as if trying to reconcile the sister she left behind with the woman standing in front of her now. This is your place?" she asked, voice thin. "Yes," I said simply, handing her the glass. "Sit." Melissa sat stiffly on the edge of the cream sofa, clutching her handbag like it was a life raft. "Rachel, I don't even know where to start. Things have been hard. I thought maybe you could help you." I finished for her, tilting my head. She nodded, shame clouding her features. "I know I wasn't there for you. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But you're my sister. And I'm drowning." For a long moment I said nothing. Instead, I let her sit in the silence, the weight of the room pressing down on her. Her gaze kept darting to the art on the walls, the elegant coffee table books, the faint scent of expensive candles. Finally, I leaned forward, my bracelet catching the light. "Melissa, do you remember the night you told me you were done with me? That I was a burden? That I needed to learn to stand on my own?" Her face flushed. "Rachel, do you?" I pressed, my voice steady but sharp. She swallowed hard. "Yes." "Well," I said, straightening, "I did stand on my own. And not just that. I built everything you see around you." Her brows knit together. "But how? You, Rachel, you had nothing." I smiled, not with bitterness, but with quiet triumph. "That's what you thought. But a week after you all turned your backs on me, I won the lottery. Millions. And while you assumed I was scraping by, I was investing, learning, and growing. I built companies. I bought properties. I became the woman you see now. Melissa's mouth fell open. She stared at me like I was speaking another language. You're a millionaire? Several times over, I replied, sipping my water. Her hands trembled, her eyes glassy with disbelief and guilt. Rachel, God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. No, I said softly. You didn't want to know. You never asked how I was. You just assumed I was failing, and you left me to bleed alone. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She covered her face with her hands, whispering, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I watched her crumble, a strange mix of sadness and empowerment swirling inside me. For years, I had imagined this moment. The reveal, the shift of power. And now it was here, heavier and more real than I had ever pictured. Melissa, I said finally, my voice calm but firm, this is the truth you never expected. And now, the question is, what will you do with it? Melissa's tears streaked her mascara, but I didn't rush to comfort her. I had spent years aching for her approval, years begging for scraps of affection. That version of me was gone. She finally looked up, her voice breaking. Rachel, please. I don't know where else to turn. I need your help. I need you. The words landed heavy, but not in the way she intended. Once, I would have clung to them like oxygen. Now, they felt hollow, desperate words born from need, not love. I set my glass down on the table, leaning back with measured calm. I will help you, I said, and she exhaled sharply, relief flooding her features. But only on my terms. Her brows furrowed. Terms? Yes, I said, folding my hands in my lap. You don't get to waltz back into my life and take without giving. If I help you, it won't be a handout. It will be an agreement. Melissa shifted uneasily. What kind of agreement? I thought of all the years she paraded her shallow victories online, all the times she sneered at me for not having enough. First, you'll need to drop the facade. No more bragging on Instagram, no more acting like life is perfect. You'll pursue something real, something that matters to you. If you want my support, you'll have to show me you're willing to work for your own redemption. She blinked, stunned. You're serious? Dead serious. Silence stretched between us, but I wasn't finished. Second, I continued. You'll go to Mom and admit what you said that night. You'll own the words you threw at me. I won't fund denial, Melissa. If you want my help, you'll face the truth. Her mouth opened, then closed again. The color drained from her cheeks. And third, I said softly, you'll treat me as an equal, not as the broken sister you once pitied. Because I'm not broken. Not anymore. Melissa's eyes brimmed with fresh tears. She shook her head slowly, as if trying to catch up with the weight of my words. I don't know if I can do all of that. Then you don't want my help badly enough, I replied, standing. My heels clicked softly against the polished wood as I crossed to the window. I'm not here to buy your love, Melissa. I'm offering you a chance to rebuild yourself, to prove you can be more than shallow pride and judgment. She sat frozen, clutching her bag, her chest rising and falling unevenly. You set the rules now, she whispered, almost to herself. Yes, I said firmly, turning back to her. Because I earned that right. I earned it with every sleepless night, every investment I studied, every time I bit my tongue instead of screaming when you abandoned me. I earned it when I chose to grow instead of wither. Her tears slowed. For the first time in years, she looked at me not with superiority, but with something like respect. Okay, she whispered hoarsely. If those are the terms, I'll try. I nodded, not smiling, not gloating. Just steady. Then we'll see if this time, Melissa, you mean it. The weeks that followed surprised me. Melissa called often, not to beg, but to update me. She signed up for evening classes at a community college, pursuing a degree in counseling. I want to actually help people, she told me one night over the phone, her voice steadier than I'd heard in years. For the first time, she sounded less like the sister who mocked me and more like the girl I remembered from childhood, the one who used to braid my hair and whisper secrets under the covers. Mom reached out too, tentatively. One afternoon, she admitted, "Rachel, I was wrong. I let fear and pride speak louder than love. I'm sorry." It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was a start. And me? I found myself softer, though not naive. I kept my boundaries firm, but I allowed space for their growth. Watching Melissa struggle toward something real reminded me that change was possible, even for the people who once hurt you the most. Late one evening, after a long day of meetings, I sat by the window with a glass of wine. The city glittered below, restless and alive. I slipped my grandmother's bracelet from my wrist and traced the tiny etched flowers with my thumb. Her words echoed in my mind. Real love is proven when you have nothing to give in return. I thought back to that night in the kitchen, when I had nothing but shame and loneliness. I thought of the years I built myself in silence, choosing patience over spite. And I thought of the woman I had become, not just wealthy, but resilient, purposeful, free. For so long, I believed my fortune was the lottery ticket. But sitting there, I realized the true fortune was my own transformation. The millions gave me freedom, yes, but it was my pain that gave me power, my solitude that taught me strength, and my choice to rise that made me who I was. I fastened the bracelet back on my wrist and whispered into the quiet, "Thank you, Grandma. You were right." A calm smile spread across my face as I set the glass down and turned off the lamp. Because in the end, when I had nothing, they showed me who they were. And when I had everything, I showed them who I became.